Hello, and welcome back to the channel. This is Jimmy. Thank you for clicking on another video today. Super excited. Pre-orders for my first book is going really well. Leadership Beyond the Title, Trust, Delegation, and Influence. And, I wanted to double click a little bit more on my inspiration for writing this book. I've been in retail for 20 plus years, and it's never been lost on me, like the impact that I've been able to have, whether that's been on the consumer or, the people that I've gotten to work with or the teams that I've gotten to lead. And it's a pretty big undertaking, something that I take really seriously, because whenever you're a leader, it's not just about making more money or having more influence. It's really, broadening your impact. And as a leader, whether you realize it or not, you have a tremendous amount of impact on people. And, something that's haven't been lost on me is retail is a growing sector. I want to say as of last year, there was just about 22 million people that held a job in some capacity in retail. And I think while it's easy, it can be super easy to, not really think about those numbers, but that's a large percentage of the U.S. workforce. I think it's probably around 20 to 25% of the U.S. workforce that work in retail. So I wrote this book just to really kind of give leaders tools on how do we best lead our people. We have such a large impact on mental health, and that's really going to be the topic of today's episode. Is as a leader, we have a significant impact on our team's mental health, and how we choose to go about assigning work, doing the work, having tough conversations will really go a long way. And if you think that there's 22 million people or 20 plus million people working in retail, we need a lot of really great leaders, because that's a lot of people that's being led. And I think about the current mental health crisis that we talk about in the country today, and how a lot of that stress, comes from people's work. So I created an infographic that I'm going to share on LinkedIn tomorrow, but you can also pick up a free copy by dropping your email in the link below, or sending me an email at jwillstudios1984@gmail.com. Again, jwillstudios1984@gmail.com, and I'll send you a free copy of this infographic. But what it is illustrating Maslow's hierarchy of needs and how that show up in today's workplace. And Maslow hierarchy of needs talked a lot about that before an individual can really reach self-actualization, there's 5 tiers that you need. And one of the first things he talked about is physiological safety and the basics of having the tools to do your job. And while that's not always all on the leader, it's a big part of our responsibility to make sure that we have the basic things to do our job. So I created that infographic. It's just some thought-provoking content for leaders to pause and slow down and really appreciate the impact that we have on the people we lead lives. And if we intentionally work on taking care of these, 5 basic things, allowing people to show up as their authentic selves, creating psychological and physiological safety, creating that sense of belonging, recognition. Team members hit this space of self-actualization, and they really understand how their unique value can add to the goal of the organization. But if we don't create the space, for instance, I'm wasting time trying to find pens and paper or technology to do my job, those things add to frustration. And while, yes, everybody can control their attitude and actions, as a leader, I'm trying to remove as many roadblocks or bumps in the road that stop my team from showing up as in true authentic selves or their best selves, and not relying on things that frustrate them to drive their experience. And when you do a really good job taking care of the basics as a leader, you leave your team no room but to focus on the work. And at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. We're here to do the work, whether that's serving your community, an acts of service, whether it's, you know, building something on a construction site. All right, we're all on the site for work. And I know as a leader that if I can take care of the basics, I trust my team to kind of fill out the gap and take care of the rest. And this has been something that's been really profound for me in my 20 plus years of doing this work and having the opportunities to lead, you know, large teams. It doesn't mean you have to do everything. That's not the call either, right? I mean, but empowerment goes a long way. But I find that if you're thinking about those things as a leader, it's not whether or not you're doing them, but you're making sure that those things are cared for. So I just think this is really important work. And there's sometimes can be a vacuum in leadership just based off how people fall into it. Good morning. And some people fall into leadership because they had $1 million idea. Now they're entrepreneurs, but they have no experience leading people. And it's not something you can really grow overnight. There's also people who got the leadership assignment, like myself. My first start was because somebody quit, and I was the next person up. And, you know, I'm glad I got the opportunity to do it, but there was no formal training on how to treat or lead people. And I learned a lot of what I picked up, as I share in the book, from watching other leaders. And I picked up their good and bad habits until I learned, you know, better habits that suited my leadership style as I, you know, worked and had more experience and figured out what worked. And so when I created this book, it was done so through the lens that as retail leaders, we have such a large impact on the mental health of this country. And I know that if I have really engaged and happy employees, they're going to spread that joy and positivity to my customers. And if I'm the reason why my employees are not engaged and they're miserable and they're not having a good day and they're spreading that to their customers, that's also my responsibility as well. So just some food for thought for today's episode. I know a lot of retail leaders, and, you know, as we talk, we appreciate just the impact that we can have on people's lives, right? And I'm hoping that this particular project that I'm undertaking is just a very direct way that I can influence and help spread positivity. So if you think this helped, you know what to do. Like and subscribe to the channel and share it with somebody you find this helpful with. So with that said, this is Jimmy. I'll see y'all soon.